gonna ask you a serious question, and I mean this in a positive way about Chet. Is he an asshole?
No, he's not an asshole.
I don't know that Chet is ready to take over a game against comparable talent. I don't think he's the guy I would take first overall.
People are going to question whatever you do, no matter what you do. I have a lot of effort that I put into every single day into the work that I do to reach my goals, so I don't really have extra effort left around gives to paying attention to what random people are saying on this talk show or their talk show. So, I just wake up every day and put all of my effort into achieving my goals.
Pivot now into the NBA. The second overall pick, Chet Holmgren, is undergoing tests for a possible right foot injury.
Chet Holmgren will miss the entire upcoming season.
See, the NBA, they provide the biggest stage for some of the biggest and tallest athletes in the entire world. No league ever to exist has had the combination of height and athleticism that the NBA does. And the NBA's biggest stars, well, they're some of the tallest in the league, but that height causes one major problem: injuries. See, being over 7 feet tall is not natural whatsoever. Crashing down onto the wooden court over 70 times a game is incredibly tolling on any player's body, especially if you're over 7 feet tall. This causes a quick end to many careers. Look at Yao Ming, for example. He is one of the most skilled and tallest big men in NBA history, but his career was cut short by foot injuries. Now, after being selected second overall in the NBA draft and becoming a star in Summer League, the world had high hopes for Chet Holmgren in his first season with the Thunder. There was a hole in that lineup and he had room for significant playing time. He spent most of that summer in gyms trying to get better, finding pickup games and ways to stay on the court. One of these opportunities was a Pro-Am game in Seattle. Holmgren was going head-to-head for the first time against LeBron James. Chet's biggest knock as a prospect was, could he handle the size and physicality of the NBA as a long, skinny player? This was the first time he'd be facing off against elite NBA talent, let alone the greatest to ever do it. Excitement was at an all-time high, and expectations were through the roof. But on the very first possession, Chet landed awkwardly on a fast break and came up limping. It was deemed a fracture in the foot, which would cause a year-long absence. All the haters, their words were confirmed. Chet wasn't able to do it. There is no way he would ever be able to play at an NBA level. The injuries are gonna ruin him. He heard it all. Hell, I even made videos about him. But the difference between Chet and the big men before him is he does let the injury change him. Not for the worse, but he used it to turn himself into a monster. The foundation of Chet's arrival was set long before he stepped on an NBA court. Yeah, he may look weak and skinny, but the secrets he learned from a young age are how he has been able to overcome and succeed. See, Chet showed up to his first AAU practice as a third grader and stuck out like a sore thumb. He was tall and frail. He was wearing a polo shirt and cargo shorts and was rocking the bowl cut. AAU coach Brian Sandifer said he was about as big as a pencil and wasn't sure there was a spot for a skinny Chet Holmgren on the team. But then Sandifer took a look at Chet's dad, Dave Holmgren. Dave is 7 feet tall and formidable. He appeared in 57 games for the University of Minnesota in the late 1980s. While Dave got Chet interested in basketball, he wanted to be his son's father and not his coach. Dave heard about Coach Sandifer's success in developing raw prospects, so he brought his son to be next on that list. This would prove to be a challenge, especially for Chet, who started with a surplus of height and a shortage of skill. But what none of them knew was that would turn into a career-defining moment for the young player.
I think I cried after the first week of practice, every practice, because I just couldn't handle it.
At home, Dave taught Chet the fundamentals of big man basketball, like how to box out for a rebound and how to avoid fouling while using your body to block shots. Many youth coaches fall into the trap of putting the tall kid at center and hoping it works out. This limits their growth and creates a lack of skill that is needed by a big man in the NBA today. Luckily, when he was with Sandifer, Chet spent most of his time trying to play like the guards in the grade ahead of him. One of his close friends at the time was now Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs.
He looked like a big thing of string cheese, just looking goofy out there. I kind of took him under my wing as like my little brother, and now he's like my little big brother because he's 7 feet.
During games, Chet would watch his friend's footwork, and in practice, he tried his best to mimic Suggs' dribble moves and shooting abilities. In 6th grade, Chet actually followed Jalen to Minnehaha, a prestigious private Christian school. He was 6'2" at that time, and actually spent his first season rehabbing from a broken right wrist on his shooting hand. During this time, he actually used his injury as an opportunity to expand his shooting range. Remember that. His skills, they were growing, but he was still just too skinny and too much of a project as a low post player to be a reliable part of the rotation. For the next few years, he used his time on the bench as another opportunity. He was able to refine his three-point shooting and ball handling skills. By the 9th grade, he had sprouted another 7 inches to 6'9" and started to finally see time playing on varsity. He was primarily a defensive specialist at this point, but he managed to put up 6.2 points and 3 rebounds a game. Here's the difference though. As many big men develop, they are on a single track, focused on low post fundamentals, like over-the-shoulder shots and rebounds. Holmgren, he developed on parallel tracks. He was simultaneously learning about the brute force necessary to be a big man from his dad. The parallel tracks held him back his sophomore year, but all of the work behind the scenes led to a breakout season. He averaged 18.6 points and 10 rebounds a game as he helped Minnehaha win their 3rd straight Minnesota 2A state championship. Over the summer, playing basketball for Coach Sandifer's grassroots sizzle on the Under Armour circuit, he blocked 49 shots in his first 6 games. In a matchup with Moutier Elite, he finished with 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 blocks. College coaches, they took note, and the offers started pouring in from dozens of D1 schools. These included Kansas, Gonzaga, Memphis, Florida, and Minnesota. From there, it was all gas and no breaks for Chet Holmgren. He finished his high school career with 20.8 points per game on 80% shooting, 12.6 rebounds, 4.7 blocks, and 4.5 assists a game, en route to leading Minnehaha to another state championship. He was also named a McDonald's All-American. By the end of summer 2019, he'd done enough to convince the amateur basketball world that he has all the tools to be the #1 player in his class. From there, he would follow his buddy Jalen Suggs and commit to Gonzaga. However, this is where life began to quickly change for the kid from Minnesota. Holmgren, he arrived at Gonzaga as the #1 recruit in the nation. He was refined yet raw and oozing with potential to become a once-in-a-lifetime caliber player. Many thought he was the final piece to get the Bulldogs their first national championship. In the months following, Holmgren not only got better, but his growth was exponential. And this was all because what was happening behind the scenes. See, among the many reasons that he came to Gonzaga, one was Drew Timme. The 2021-2022 preseason pick for National Player of the Year was a companion in styles and personality to Chet. The two bonded while becoming the best frontcourt pair in college hoops. Timme was not the NBA prospect that Holmgren was, but he was an incredible leader and an incredible college player. Chet owes a ton of his own defensive development to trying to stop his friend Drew in drill after drill at practice. Like Chet did in middle school and in high school, he was able to soak up Timme's skills and secret sauce like a sponge. He was able to become a better back-to-the-basket player and spent hours not only watching, but understanding how Timme was able to use his leverage and size to truly become great. Talented players, they come in many variations, with their own mental approaches and day-to-day habits. Some are more disciplined than others. The key is having focus and making the time. Gonzaga's staff still says that there was not one day where Chet half-assed anything or dipped out of any extra sessions. He was around the facilities as much as anyone, including the coaches. He has an insatisfiable appetite for studying basketball. For Holmgren, basketball is an infatuation, a mania, and it brought him to star status at one of college basketball's best programs. Those around Chet started to see someone who was thoughtful, independent, somewhat private, and as detail-oriented of a player as the Zags have ever seen. Gonzaga would finish that regular season with a 28-4 record, good enough to clinch a 1 seed in the tournament. The Zags would meet Arkansas in the Sweet 16, and that's where their run would end. And just like that, a shining college career was cut short in devastation. But as we've seen time and time again, Chet wasn't going to let this roadblock slow him down.
Number 34, Chet Holmgren.
Enter the 2022 NBA draft. Chet was the #1 pick on numerous big boards, but his one knock was people still didn't know if he was going to be able to hold up. Teams had no idea. Many teams worked him out. The Orlando Magic, they had the #1 pick and they brought him down for pre-draft evaluations over and over again. They were clearly intrigued, but as draft day came, the Magic, they chose otherwise.
With the first pick in the 2022 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Paolo Banchero from Duke University.
Banchero from Duke goes #1 overall to the Orlando Magic.
Now, Paolo, he was the right pick. As a Magic fan, they needed a play now type of guy, not a project. And I'm glad they chose him. Paolo is a bona fide superstar and would be a great player for a long, long time. But Chet, he was still on the board and now clearly had something to prove.
With the second pick in the 2022 NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
Who Chet Holmgren is. Do not let the body frame fool you.
Absolutely, and look, you can see him shaking hands there with Commissioner Adam Silver.
Thunder fans were ecstatic. They had a potential unicorn on their roster, and what feels like somehow 100 first-round picks to go with it. But the only question remaining was, what is Chet gonna look like on an NBA floor? Fast forward to July 2022, here comes the 7-1 alien entering his first Summer League game. Everyone in the NBA world is tuned in to see how he's gonna do, and he scores 23 points. He pulled down 7 rebounds, he swatted away 6 shots, and playing center in his debut, Holmgren, he went against Taco Fall, dragged him out to the perimeter, and knocked down 4 threes in his face. I love you, Taco. The world was officially on notice, and Chet was here. This wasn't legit NBA competition, but he was making some grown men look silly out there. He did so well, people began questioning his college coach. Where was this movement at Gonzaga? Why did the game run through him? That 2022 Summer League season, Chet averaged 12 points a game with nearly 4 blocks a contest. It was truly a spectacle, but the doubt, it was still there. After the Summer League, Chet decided to participate in a Pro-Am competition hosted by NBA legend Jamal Crawford. This was one of the most anticipated events of the offseason. The line to get in this place was miles long, and LeBron James was making his Pro-Am debut. Also, his new rival Paolo Banchero was playing, along with a ton of other NBA stars. This was going to be his first true test, and it ended in disaster.
The breaking news from the NBA is not good. It's bad news out of Oklahoma City. Thunder rookie Chet Holmgren will miss the entire upcoming season because of a Liz Frank injury to his right foot while defending LeBron James on the fast break, and you see it once again there.
Chet was now faced with 2 options: succumb to defeat or fall back on what his father and Coach Sandifer had taught him. Chet made his decision and decided to make a commitment to concentration, and that is what stands out as an essential factor in his outstanding comeback after a long absence. Looking back to him as a young skinny kid, wearing a polo shirt, cargo shorts, and rocking the bowl cut, besides his height, there really weren't many things that stood out. He wasn't fast, he didn't jump high, he couldn't lift a lot of weight, but where he was strong was his mind. So he was able to take the coaching of his father and mentally understood what it meant to be a successful big man. He was able to take what Coach Sandifer had taught him about becoming a skilled guard. He was able to watch and absorb everything he could from his high school teammate Jalen Suggs. Same thing at Gonzaga with Drew Timme. But his biggest attribute, he was able to learn from each and every one of those stops how to overcome adversity. Whether you like it or not, Chet has always been the underdog, the doubted, too tall, too skinny, and he has always known how to put that aside and just get better. So that's exactly what Chet did. He got better each and every day. He used the injury to become a monster. He got faster, he got stronger. But again, he used all of this to become smarter. Coming into the 2023-2024 season, the world had a question mark next to Chet Holmgren's name. Would he ever be able to compete with the physicality of this league? Well, like he's always done, he is proving that he can. And he's proving that he can do it with the best. This is still considered Chet's rookie year. So he is now being compared to another great alien, Victor Wembanyama. Victor is undoubtedly stronger, faster, more skilled, more athletic. But against all odds, Chet is going toe-to-toe with him right now. When you talk about rookie of the year, Chet's name is right next to Victor at the top. Now there is still a long season ahead, but as of right now, Chet Holmgren looks like a star. And the way that he's been able to bounce back from this injury indicates to me that he may be around for a long time. I'm All Hail Colin, and if you agree with me, you should click subscribe. And I'm sure there's a lot of you who think I'm wrong, but you should also hit subscribe because I'll be dropping videos just like this weekly on this page every single Monday. We are covering all things in the basketball world. Think about it as longer versions of my All Hail B-Ball videos. We'll be providing you with the stories ESPN they just don't talk about. So until next time, All Hail B-Ball out. Also, hey, if you guys want one of these hats, go join the channel on my IG. I'm giving some out.